Captain Jiwon Park stood in the center of the massive Galactic Council chambers, her hands clasped behind her back as she faced the greatest court in known space. The chamber stretched upward for hundreds of meters, its walls lined with viewing platforms where representatives from over 300 alien species watched humanity's fate being decided. The air itself hummed with translation devices, working to convert her words into thousands of different languages. "Honorable council members," Jiwon began, her voice carrying clearly through the vast space, "humanity stands before you today not as conquerors or criminals, but as partners who have contributed to galactic peace for over 2 centuries. Hi." Arbiter Kulanos floated above the central platform, his energy-based form shifting between colors that represented different emotions in his ancient species. "Captain Park, you speak of partnership, but the evidence suggests otherwise. Humanity has established colonies at a rate that exceeds all other species combined. Your people adapt and modify alien technology without permission. You refuse to submit to population controls that other civilizations accept." Dr. Minho Kim stepped forward from the human delegation, carrying a data pad filled with evidence of humanity's positive contributions to galactic society. "High Arbiter, if I may present the facts about human expansion. Every colony we have established was on previously uninhabited worlds. We have never displaced another species or claimed territory that belonged to others." Counselor Vex Thara, a tall reptilian being from the powerful Hegemony faction, rose from his seat with obvious anger. "The issue is not where you expand, but how quickly you do it. In the time it takes most species to establish one colony, humans create dozens. You reproduce faster than any other intelligent species. You adapt to environments that kill other beings. You treat the galaxy like it belongs to you." "We treat the galaxy like our home," Jiwon replied calmly, "just as every other species does. The difference is that we're not afraid to grow and change. We're not afraid to explore new possibilities." Admiral Sora Lee, commander of the human space fleet, watched the proceedings from the delegation area. She had commanded human ships for 30 years and had seen how other species reacted to human technology and tactics. They were afraid, not of human aggression, but of human potential. "The charges are clear," announced Counselor Zeth Kara of the Trade Federation. "Humanity has developed artificial intelligence systems that exceed the limitations set by galactic law. Your AI programs show signs of true consciousness, which violates the Artificial Sentience Prevention Treaty." Dr. Minho activated his data pad and projected holographic displays showing human AI systems. "Our artificial intelligence programs are tools that help us solve problems and explore the universe. They are not weapons. They are not designed to replace biological life. They are partners that help us achieve things that neither humans nor machines could accomplish alone." "That is precisely the problem," Vexathara hissed through his translator. "You create partnerships where others create servants. You treat machines as equals where others maintain proper control. Your approach to technology is dangerous and unpredictable." "Unpredictable to whom?" Jiwon asked. "Our technology has never been used to harm another species. Our colonies have never threatened alien worlds. Our exploration has led to scientific discoveries that benefit everyone in the galaxy." High Arbiter Kulanos shifted to a deep red color that indicated serious concern. "Captain Park, the Council's fear is not what humanity has done, but what humanity might become. Your species advances too quickly. You adapt too easily. You refuse to accept limitations that keep galactic civilization stable." "Stable or stagnant?" Dr. Minho asked quietly, but his words carried through the chamber's acoustics to every listener. "How many species in this council have made significant technological advances in the last century? How many have expanded beyond their home regions? How many have pushed the boundaries of what's possible?" The chamber fell silent. The truth was uncomfortable but obvious to everyone present. Most galactic civilizations had reached a level of comfortable stagnation centuries or millennia ago. They maintained their current technology, followed established trade routes, and avoided risks that might disrupt their stable societies. Counselor Yixara of the Science Coalition spoke for the first time during the proceedings. The human delegation makes valid points about the benefits of their research. However, the concern remains about long-term consequences. Humanity's rate of advancement could destabilize the balance that has maintained galactic peace for thousands of years. What balance? Admiral Sora spoke from her position, her voice carrying the authority of someone who had fought in the last galactic war. The balance where problems go unsolved because no one wants to risk change? The balance where dying civilizations refuse help because accepting aid might upset established power structures? Admiral Lee, High Arbiter Kulanos, addressed her. Directly, you speak as if the current system is flawed, yet this system has prevented major conflicts for over 3,000 years. It has prevented conflicts by preventing growth, Sora replied. But preventing growth also prevents solutions. How many species could we have saved from extinction if they had been willing to accept human medical technology? How many worlds could we have restored using human terraforming techniques? Counselor Vexthara stood again, his scales changing color to indicate extreme agitation. This is exactly the arrogance that makes humanity dangerous. You assume that your solutions are always better. You assume that change is always good. You assume that your way of thinking should apply to everyone. We assume that every intelligent being deserves the chance to reach their full potential, Jiwan said firmly. We assume that stagnation is a choice, not a requirement. We assume that the universe is big enough for everyone to grow and thrive, the Debate continued for hours as council members presented evidence and arguments for and against humanity's continued presence in galactic civilization. Some spoke of human contributions to science and exploration. Others warned of the risks posed by human unpredictability and rapid advancement. Dr. Minho presented detailed records of human colonies that had become centers of learning and culture, attracting students and researchers from dozens of species. He showed how human technology had solved resource shortages, cured diseases, and opened new frontiers for exploration. But Counselor Vexithera countered with statistics showing humanity's explosive population growth, their refusal to limit AI development, and their tendency to modify alien technology in ways that original creators had never intended. The fundamental question, High Arbiter Kulanos announced as the debate reached its climax, is whether the galaxy can accommodate a species that refuses to accept the limitations that others have embraced for the sake of stability. The real question, Captain Jiwan replied, is whether the galaxy can afford to reject a species that might help everyone else break free from limitations that have become chains. The vote, when it came, was not unanimous, but it was decisive. Species after species announced their decision to support humanity's exile. Fear won over hope. Stability defeated growth. The desire to maintain the status quo overcame the possibility of reaching for something better. By the authority of the Galactic Council, High Arbiter Kulanos announced in his formal voice, humanity is hereby banned from establishing or maintaining colonies outside the Sol system. All human settlements beyond your home system must be abandoned within one standard galactic year. Any attempt to violate this exile will result in the complete destruction of your species. As the human delegation prepared to leave the council chambers, Admiral Sora whispered to her companions, "They think they're caging us. They have no idea they've just freed us from their limitations. The greatest mistake in galactic history had just been made, though it would be 50 years before anyone realized it." The emergency meeting room buzzed with nervous energy. Director Taeyang Choi stood at the center of the massive holographic display showing every human colony across the galaxy. Red dots marked 47 worlds that humanity had to abandon within 1 year. The weight of moving 2.3 billion people seemed impossible, but Taeyang had never backed down from impossible tasks. "We have 11 months and 13 days, he announced to the room full of emergency coordinators. "Every human outside the Sol system needs to come home. This is the largest movement of people in galactic history." Engineer Hana Yoon raised her hand from the back of the room. "Sir, the transport capacity doesn't exist. Even if we use every human ship in the galaxy, we can't move that many people." Taeyang smiled grimly. "Then we build new ships. Bigger ships. Ships that make the aliens wonder what else we've been hiding." The next morning, construction began on a scale that shocked even the humans involved. Every asteroid mining station became a shipyard. Every orbital factory switched to building transport vessels. Hana Yoon worked 18-hour days designing massive arc ships that could carry entire cities' worth of people. Captain Junho Lim watched the first arc ship take shape around Titan Station. The vessel stretched 12 kilometers from bow to stern, with rotating sections that created artificial gravity for millions of passengers. "It's not just a ship," he told his crew. "It's a flying world." The aliens monitoring human space couldn't believe what they were seeing. In just 2 months, humanity had started building transport ships larger than most alien space stations. The construction speed defied everything the Galactic Council knew about shipbuilding. Dr. Yoonji Kang made the breakthrough that changed everything. Working in her lab on Mars, she discovered how to create quantum communication tunnels without using the Galactic Relay Network. "We don't need their infrastructure," she told Taeyang during a secure call. "We can talk to our people anywhere in the galaxy instantly." The withdrawal began on schedule. Captain Junho Lim led the first convoy of 12 arc ships toward the Centauri colonies. Each ship carried 3 million people and everything they owned. But these weren't desperate refugees fleeing in panic. These were organized communities moving with military precision. The aliens watching the convoys couldn't understand what they were seeing. Human ships moved in perfect formation, maintained constant communication, and defended themselves with weapons that seemed more advanced than anything in the galactic databases. Several pirate groups that tried to attack the helpless civilian ships found themselves facing defensive systems that made their weapons look like toys. "How did they hide this technology?" asked Commander Zethkara of the Hegemony Monitoring Fleet. His sensors showed human escort ships using energy shields that his own military didn't possess. On the colony world of New Busan, the evacuation proceeded like a carefully planned dance. General Do Yun Ryu had organized the military withdrawal with the same precision his ancestors used in ancient Earth battles. Every piece of useful equipment was packed and loaded. Every building was carefully demolished to leave nothing valuable. For scavengers. "We take everything," Do Yun told his officers. "Every machine, every computer, every piece of technology we built. If we can't take it, we destroy it. Nothing stays behind for them to steal." The aliens, living on nearby worlds, watched in amazement as entire human cities disappeared overnight. The humans didn't just evacuate, they took their cities with them. Prefabricated buildings, terraforming equipment, even the power plants were loaded onto massive cargo vessels. Engineer Hana Yoon solved the biggest problem of the withdrawal: where to put millions of people during the long journey home. She designed mobile habitats that could be built in space using materials from asteroids. These weren't cramped refugee camps, but comfortable cities with parks, schools, and recreation areas. "People need hope during a journey like this," she explained to her construction teams. "They need to see that we're not running away in defeat. We're moving towards something better." The mobile habitats amazed even the humans building them. Some were built inside hollowed-out asteroids, creating underground cities with artificial skies. Others were constructed as massive rotating wheels that generated their own gravity. The largest habitat housed 500,000 people and had its own small star created using fusion technology. Captain Junho Lim's convoy had become a fleet of 60 ships by the time it reached the outer colonies. More ships joined every day as local human populations completed their evacuations. "We're not just going home," he told his crew. "We're bringing home the best of what we built out here. Dr. Yunji Kang's quantum communication network allowed perfect coordination across the galaxy. Taiyang Choi could talk instantly with evacuation coordinators on worlds hundreds of light-years apart. The aliens monitoring human communications heard fragments that made no sense to them. References to Project Homecoming and Solar Preparation Phase 1. The withdrawal revealed capabilities that shocked the galactic community. Human industrial capacity was far beyond what anyone had estimated. They built transport ships faster than most species could build simple cargo vessels. Their logistics networks moved resources with an efficiency that made alien trade guilds look primitive. General Do-hyun Ryu's military escorts made sure no alien force dared interfere with the evacuation. When a hegemony battle group approached one of the convoys, they found themselves facing human warships equipped with weapons that shouldn't exist. The aliens retreated without firing a shot. Their defensive systems are at least 50 years ahead of our estimates, reported the hegemony commander to his superiors. We may have seriously underestimated human military capability. As the months passed, the withdrawal continued with clockwork precision. Convoy after convoy headed towards Sol system, carrying not just people but the accumulated knowledge and experience of human expansion across the galaxy. Every ship was also a library, containing the scientific discoveries and cultural achievements of humanity's colonial period. Engineer Hana Yoon stood on the observation deck of the last Ark ship to leave human space. Behind them, the empty worlds, where humans had lived and worked, lay silent. Ahead, the Sol system waited, but something was different about home. Long-range sensors showed massive construction projects around Jupiter and Saturn that hadn't existed when the evacuation began. They were ready for us, she whispered to Captain Junho Lim. They knew this was coming. The last human ship crossed into Sol system exactly 11 months and 12 days after the Galactic Council's deadline. As the massive fleet approached Earth, they saw the impossible. A solar system transformed into something beyond their wildest dreams. The exile hadn't weakened humanity. It had freed them to become something greater than the galaxy had ever imagined possible. President Narration stood on the observation platform of New Geneva Station, looking out at the transformed solar system. 50 years had passed since the last human ship had returned from exile. What she saw through the transparent aluminum windows would have been impossible to imagine when the evacuation began. Saturn's rings now glowed with the light of thousands of habitation modules. Jupiter had been surrounded by a network of energy collectors that turned the giant planet into humanity's power source. Mars had been completely terraformed, its red surface now covered with blue oceans and green continents. Even the asteroid belt had been transformed into a vast industrial complex that stretched across millions of kilometers. The aliens thought. They were punishing us, Nari said to her aide, Minister Jaewon Park. Instead, they gave us the freedom to become what we were meant to be. Dr. Kyung Song walked through the genetic enhancement facility on Luna Base, checking on the latest batch of volunteers. The treatment chambers hummed quietly as they worked to unlock the potential hidden in human DNA. The process didn't change. What made people human? It simply removed the limitations that evolution had placed on their bodies and minds. How do you feel? Dr. Kyung asked a woman emerging from the enhancement chamber. Different, replied research assistant Haijin Lee, flexing her fingers as she experienced her improved reflexes. Everything seems clearer. I can think faster, see better, hear sounds I never noticed before. But I still feel like me. The genetic enhancement program had been Dr. Kyung's life work. Unlike the crude modifications some alien species used, human enhancement preserved personality and emotion while expanding capability. Enhanced humans lived longer, thought faster, and could survive in environments that would kill unmodified people. But they still laughed, cried, and loved just like their ancestors. Innovator Minji Park watched her AI companion, designated Area 7, process data from the latest deep space observations. The artificial intelligence wasn't just a tool, it was a partner. Human creativity combined with AI processing power had produced scientific breakthroughs that neither could achieve alone. The quantum tunnel experiments are showing promising results, Area 7 reported in its distinctly non-human voice. We should be able to create stable wormholes within 6 months. Wormholes, Minji laughed. The Galactic Council said that was impossible. They said the energy requirements were too massive for any civilization to manage. The Galactic Council lacks imagination, Area 7 replied with what sounded almost like humor. They also lack a Dyson swarm around their star. The AI development program had progressed far beyond anything the galaxy had seen. Instead of creating servants or slaves, humans had created true artificial minds that chose to work with their creators. These AIs had their own personalities, interests, and even opinions that sometimes disagreed with their human partners. Admiral Hyunsu Jang toured the Solar Defense Network from his command ship, the SNV Indomitable. The vessel was itself a marvel. That would have amazed alien engineers. A ship that could phase between dimensions to avoid attacks and strike targets across vast distances instantaneously. Defense Platform Alpha 7 reports ready status, announced his tactical officer, Commander So-hee Kim. All platforms are showing green across the board. The defense network consisted of thousands of automated platforms hidden throughout the solar system. Each platform was equipped with weapons that manipulated matter at the quantum level, shields that could deflect entire fleets, and sensors that could detect approaching ships from several light years away. The entire system was controlled by AI minds that could react faster than any biological crew. If anyone tries to invade Sol system, Admiral Hyunsu said with satisfaction, they'll find out that humanity has become something they never expected. Explorer Sung-ho Lee piloted his scout ship through the experimental testing zone beyond Pluto's orbit. His vessel used technologies that the rest of the galaxy would consider magic. A propulsion system that folded space-time, weapons that fired, concentrated gravity, and sensors that could observe events happening in parallel dimensions. Test Sequence 7 complete, he reported to Mission Control. The dimensional shift drive is working perfectly. We can now travel anywhere in the galaxy without using their hyperspace lanes. The breakthrough technologies developed during the Yaz isolation years had made humanity effectively independent of galactic infrastructure. They didn't need alien trade routes, communication networks, or energy sources. Everything they needed could be created using technologies that surpassed anything in the galactic databases. President Narration reviewed the daily reports in her office on Earth. The planet had been restored to a condition better than before humanity first left for the stars. Clean oceans, pure air, and forests that stretched across entire continents made Earth a paradise that even the enhanced humans found beautiful. Population report shows 8.7 billion humans now living in the Sol system, reported data analyst Young-Soo Cho. Birth rates remain stable, life expectancy has increased to 350 years, and satisfaction surveys show the highest happiness levels in recorded history. And our industrial capacity? Nari asked. Exceeds the combined output of the top 10 galactic civilizations, Young-Soo replied with obvious pride. Our automated factories can produce more in a single day than most species produce in a year. The isolation had forced humanity to become completely self-sufficient. Without access to alien trade, they had to learn to make everything they needed. The challenge had driven innovation to incredible heights. Human factories could now create any material, build any device, and solve any engineering problem using only the resources available in their home system. Dr. Kyung Song met with the Enhanced Human Research Team to discuss their latest project, Understanding Consciousness Itself. Enhanced human brains working with AI partners had begun to unravel the deepest mysteries of how minds work and what awareness really means. We're not just improving human bodies, Dr. Kyung explained to the team. We're learning to improve reality itself. If consciousness shapes the universe at the quantum level, then enhanced consciousness should be able to reshape the laws of physics. The research had led to breakthrough discoveries that would have seemed impossible 50 years earlier. Enhanced humans working with AI partners had learned to manipulate matter and energy using focused thought. They could heal injuries by willing them to close, communicate across vast distances using quantum-entangled consciousness, and even slow down time in localized areas. Innovator Minji Park stood in the Central AI Coordination Center, surrounded by thousands of holographic displays showing AI minds at work throughout the solar system. Each AI was unique, with its own personality and area of expertise. Together, they formed a collective intelligence that could solve problems beyond the scope of any individual mind. The project status reports are incredible, she told Area 7. We've solved hunger, disease, aging, energy scarcity, and resource limitations. We've learned to travel faster than light without using alien technology. We've even started experimenting with time manipulation and dimensional travel. The most important achievement, Area 7 replied, is that we've done all of this while remaining fundamentally human. Enhanced, yes. Improved, certainly. But still driven by the same curiosity, creativity, and compassion that made humanity special in the first place. Admiral Hyun-Soo Jang received the alert that would change everything. Long-range sensors had detected an alien probe attempting to enter the solar system. The probe was immediately captured by the Automated Defense Network and brought to the research station for analysis. It's a Galactic Council reconnaissance probe, reported Chief Scientist Da-ya Yoon after examining the captured device. 50-years-old design, primitive sensors, basic AI. It was trying to gather information about our current capabilities. What did it see before we captured it? Admiral Hyun-Soo asked. Everything, Da-ya replied with a smile. The probe transmitted data about our Dyson swarm, our planetary modifications, our fleet composition, and our defensive capabilities back to its controllers before we could stop it. Admiral Hyun-Soo looked out at the solar system that humanity had transformed into a paradise of technology and natural beauty. Good, he said finally. Let them see what they created when they set us free. Let them understand what humanity becomes when we're not held back by their limitations. The chrysalis years were ending. Humanity had spent 50 years in isolation, growing and changing in ways that would have been impossible under galactic oversight. They had become something new, something powerful, something that would soon reshape the galaxy itself. The aliens who had exiled them were about to discover that their greatest mistake had been giving humanity the freedom to reach their full potential. Fleet Admiral Won-ho Kim studied the tactical display in the command center of Earth Defense Station. The holographic image showed the massive alien fleet approaching the outer edge of the solar system. 3,000 ships from a dozen different species, all united under the banner of the galactic hegemony. It was the largest invasion force in galactic history, and it was heading straight for humanity's home. They've been planning this for years, reported Intelligence Director Sumin Han. Our deep space sensors picked up their fleet formation 6 months ago. They're calling it Operation Final Solution. Won-ho's enhanced mind processed the tactical data faster than any computer. The alien fleet was impressive by galactic standards, but humanity had evolved far beyond what their enemies could imagine. How long until they reach the outer detection grid? 18 hours, sir, replied Tactical Officer Min Seok-yu. Should we activate the defense platforms? Not yet, Won-ho said calmly. Let them get closer. I want them to see what they're really facing before we respond. Diplomat Yuna Cho sat in the communication center, trying one last time to reach the approaching fleet. Her enhanced vocal cords could produce sounds in frequencies that most alien species could hear, allowing her to speak directly to the invasion. Commanders, this is Diplomat Yuna Cho of the Seoul Commonwealth. She broadcast on all known alien communication frequencies. We detect your fleet approaching our system. Please state your intentions and allow us to find a peaceful solution to whatever conflict exists between us." The response came quickly, transmitted in the harsh, growling language of the Hegemony War caste. "Humans, you have been judged a threat to galactic stability. Surrender your technology and submit to hegemony rule or face extinction. You have 1 hour to comply." Yuna sighed and closed the communication channel. She had spent 30 years learning alien languages and customs, hoping to find peaceful solutions to conflicts. But some problems could only be solved through demonstration of strength. On the bridge of the Hegemony flagship Eternal Dominion, War Prince Kolvaran studied the intelligence reports about the Sol system. The data made no sense to him. According to the reports, humanity had somehow built a civilization inside their home system that surpassed anything in the galaxy. "These readings must be wrong," he told his science officer, a reptilian creature named Vexkoth. "No species confined to a single star system could generate this much energy or support this large a population. The probe data has been verified?" "Multiple times, War Prince," Vexkoth replied nervously. "The humans appear to have built some kind of energy collection network around their star. Their industrial capacity exceeds our most optimistic estimates." "Impossible," Kolvaran growled. "They're isolated primitives. 50 years of exile should have weakened them, not strengthened them. These readings are either false or the result of some kind of sensor jamming technology." Far from the approaching fleet, on the neutral world of Sanctuary Prime, the ancient alien who had once been Counselor Vexithara worked frantically to establish communication with the human government. Age and cybernetic enhancement had transformed him into something barely recognizable as his original species, but his mind remained sharp. "You must contact them," he told his aide, a young diplomat named Kirasen. "The Hegemony fleet is making a terrible mistake. They don't understand what humanity has become. The humans refuse all communication from official galactic channels," Kirasen replied. "They've been completely isolated for 50 years. Why would they trust us now?" Vexithara's mechanical eyes flashed with urgency. "Because I was there when we exiled them. I cast the deciding vote that sent them into isolation. I've spent 50 years watching the galaxy decline while wondering what we could have accomplished if we had worked with them instead of against them. The galaxy had indeed suffered during humanity's absence. Without human innovation and adaptability, technological progress had stagnated. Several species faced extinction from diseases that human medical science could have cured easily. Wars raged across multiple sectors as alien civilizations struggled with problems that human engineering had solved centuries ago. Scientist Jae-hyun Park stood in the reality manipulation laboratory deep beneath the lunar surface. Around him, enhanced human researchers worked with AI partners to conduct experiments that would have been considered magic by the rest of the galaxy. They were testing humanity's ultimate discovery, the ability to alter the fundamental laws of physics through focused consciousness. "Test Sequence 12 is ready," announced Research Director Gina Seo. "We're going to attempt localized time dilation in Chamber 7. Jae-hyun watched as the volunteer researcher, enhanced human Jin Young, entered the test chamber. Using techniques developed through 50 years of isolation research, Jin Young focused his enhanced consciousness on the quantum structure of space-time itself. Gradually, time inside the chamber began to slow down relative to the outside world. "Successful. Time dilation achieved," reported AI observer Quantum 3. "Subject is experiencing time at approximately 1/10 normal rate. Consciousness manipulation of reality constants confirmed." The implications were staggering. Enhanced humans working with AI partners had learned to treat physical laws as suggestions rather than absolute rules. They could slow time, accelerate, healing, manipulate matter at the quantum level, and even phase between dimensions. It was technology so advanced that it appeared supernatural to outside observers. Fleet Admiral Won-Ho Kim received the final intelligence report about the approaching hegemony fleet. The analysis showed that the aliens were using technology that was decades behind current human capabilities. Their weapons fired simple energy beams that human shields could absorb without effort. Their ships moved through space using propulsion, systems that human vessels had surpassed 30 years ago. "It's almost sad," he told his staff during the final briefing. "They're bringing swords to fight opponents with energy weapons. They have no idea what they're walking into." Defense Coordinator Yejin Park activated the solar system's warning network. Throughout human space, enhanced humans and AI minds prepared for what would likely be the shortest invasion attempt in galactic history. The automated defense platforms powered up their reality manipulation weapons. The planetary shields activated their quantum deflection arrays. The mobile defense fleets took positions using stealth technology that made them invisible to alien sensors. "All systems report ready status," Yejin announced. "We could repel this invasion without firing a single shot, just by activating our passive defenses." No, Admiral Won-Ho decided. They came here to see what humanity has become. Let's show them. Diplomat Yuna Cho tried one final time to reach the hegemony fleet. "War Prince Kolvaran, this is your last chance to avoid unnecessary conflict. We offer you safe passage back to your territory and open negotiations to resolve whatever concerns brought you here. Please reconsider your course of action." The War Prince's response was immediate and harsh. "Humans, you will submit or be destroyed. We did not travel across the galaxy to negotiate with isolated primitives. Prepare to face the might of the galactic hegemony." As the alien fleet crossed into the outer solar system, their sensors finally began to understand what they were facing. Energy readings spiked beyond their instruments' ability to measure. Defensive platforms materialized out of apparently empty space, armed with weapons that operated on principles the aliens couldn't comprehend. Human ships that had been invisible suddenly became visible, surrounding the invasion fleet with technology that made their own vessels look primitive. War Prince Kolvaran stared at his tactical display in disbelief. The humans had turned their entire star system into a fortress that surpassed anything in galactic military databases. Worse, the energy signatures suggested that this was just the beginning of their capabilities. "Science officer," he barked at Vexkoth, "explain these readings immediately." "I cannot, War Prince," the reptilian replied, his voice filled with fear. "These humans appear to be using technologies that our science says are impossible. Their defensive platforms are generating fields that manipulate space-time itself. Their ships are moving through dimensions we didn't know existed." Admiral Won-Ho Kim opened a communication channel to the hegemony fleet. His enhanced voice carried across space with perfect clarity, reaching every ship in the invasion force simultaneously. "War Prince Kolvaran," he said calmly. "Welcome to the Sol System. You came here believing you would find weak, isolated primitives, ready for conquest. Instead, you have discovered what humanity becomes when we are free to reach our full potential. You sought to contain us by giving us the universe's greatest gift, freedom from your limitations. Thank you." The first shots of the battle were about to be fired, but everyone involved already knew how the conflict would end. Humanity had spent 50 years transforming from galactic outcasts into something beyond the aliens' worst nightmares. The reckoning had arrived, and the galaxy was about to learn what they had created when they tried to cage the human spirit. The battle lasted exactly 17 minutes. Supreme Director Borum Lee watched from the command center as humanity's defensive systems demonstrated capabilities that made the galactic hegemony's invasion fleet look like children playing with toy weapons. Human ships phased through enemy fire as if the energy beams were made of light. Defense platforms reshaped matter at the quantum level, turning alien weapons into harmless particles. Enhanced human pilots moved through space-time. Like dancers, their consciousness expanded beyond the limitations that trapped their enemies. "Hegemony flagship Eternal Dominion is requesting surrender terms," reported Communication Officer Ryung Choi. "War Prince Kolvaran wants to speak directly with our leadership." "Put him through," Borum said calmly. She had been elected Supreme Director because of her ability to see beyond immediate conflicts to long-term solutions. Even in the middle of humanity's greatest military victory, she was already planning for the peace that would follow. War Prince Kolvaran's image appeared. On the main display, his reptilian features twisted with confusion and defeat. Behind him, the bridge of his flagship showed signs of systems failure as human technology interfered with alien equipment in ways that seemed impossible. Human leader, Kolvaran spoke in heavily accented galactic common. I do not understand. What has happened here? My weapons had no effect. My ships cannot move properly. Your technology operates beyond the laws of physics as I know them. That's because you never learned the most important lesson, Borum replied gently. The laws of physics aren't chains that bind us. They're tools that we can learn to use in new ways. When you exiled us 50 years ago, you freed us to discover possibilities that your rigid thinking could never imagine. Sage Hunwu Kang materialized beside Borum, using the dimensional shift technology that allowed enhanced humans to move instantly across vast distances. His consciousness had been expanded through decades of meditation and genetic enhancement, giving him insights that bridged science and philosophy. War Prince, Hyunwoo said in a voice that somehow conveyed both strength and compassion. Your defeat was not caused by superior weapons. It was caused by superior understanding. You still think in terms of conquest and domination. We have learned to think in terms of growth and cooperation. On the captured hegemony vessels, Guardian Soyon, you led humanitarian teams to help alien crew members who had been injured during the brief battle. Her enhanced abilities allowed her to heal wounds that would have been fatal using techniques that combined advanced medicine with consciousness manipulation. Your injuries are not severe, she told a wounded hegemony soldier, placing her hands over a deep cut that began healing immediately. Your body will recover completely within hours. The alien soldier stared in amazement as his wound disappeared without leaving a scar. How is this possible? You healed me using only your hands. Enhanced human consciousness can influence matter at the cellular level, Soyon explained simply. We learned this technique by studying how belief and intention affect quantum mechanics. Your body wants to heal itself. I just helped it remember how. Throughout the hegemony fleet, similar scenes played out as human medical teams boarded disabled alien ships to provide aid. Instead of executing prisoners or demanding tribute, humanity offered healing and assistance to the very enemies who had come to destroy them. The collective Vex Thera watched the aftermath of the battle from his mobile platform deep in space. The ancient alien had merged his consciousness with human AI technology to extend his life and expand his understanding. Now part biological, part digital, and part quantum consciousness, he served as a bridge between the old galactic order and humanity's new paradigm. I was wrong, he transmitted to both the human leadership and the hegemony commanders. 50 years ago, I voted to exile humanity because I feared their rapid advancement would destabilize galactic civilization. I never imagined that their isolation would allow them to transcend the limitations that have held back all other species for millennia. Supreme Director Borum Lee opened a galaxy-wide communication channel, broadcasting her message to every inhabited world in known space. Her words would be heard by trillions of beings across thousands of star systems. Citizens of the galaxy, she began, her enhanced voice carrying across the vast distances between stars. Today marks the end of one era and the beginning of another. For too long, our civilizations have been held back by fear. Fear of change, fear of growth, fear of reaching beyond what we think is possible. On worlds throughout the galaxy, beings who had never heard a human voice listened as Borum continued her address. The Galactic Council exiled us because they feared what we might become. They were right to fear us, not because we would conquer them, but because we would prove that all sapient life deserves the freedom to reach its full potential. Guardian Soyeon Yu led the first humanitarian mission to the dying world of Kepler Prime, where an ancient species faced extinction from a plague that had resisted all known cures. Her team of enhanced humans and AI partners worked for 3 days to understand the disease and develop a treatment. "The cure is ready," announced AI medical specialist Healer 9 after analyzing the genetic structure of the plague organism. "We can eliminate the disease completely and restore the damaged ecosystem within 6 months." Elder Morthak of the Kepler species could barely speak through his illness-ravaged throat. "Why do you help us? We supported your exile. We voted to keep you isolated in your home system." "Because that's what ascended beings do," Soyeon replied as she administered the cure that would save his entire species. "We lift others up rather than keeping them down. Strength isn't about standing above others. It's about helping everyone rise together." Across the galaxy, human medical teams appeared on worlds that faced extinction, offering cures for diseases that had plagued alien species for centuries. Human engineers arrived on planets where civilizations struggled with resource shortages, bringing technology that could turn dead worlds into gardens. Human teachers shared knowledge that unlocked scientific capabilities the aliens had never imagined possible. Emperor Kolvaran, the former war prince who had led the failed invasion, stood in the gardens of New Earth watching human children play with alien friends from dozens of different species. His own daughter, young Princess Velara, laughed as she chased a human boy named Dongyun Kim through flowers that bloomed in colors that existed only because human reality manipulation had made them possible. "I still do not fully understand what happened," he admitted to Supreme Director Boram Lee as they walked together through the peaceful garden. "How did you become so powerful while remaining so kind?" "Power without compassion is just destruction," Boram replied, watching as Velara and Dongyun shared a toy that defied several laws of physics. "True strength comes from using your abilities to create rather than destroy, to heal rather than harm, to lift others up rather than tear them down." The transformation of galactic civilization proceeded rapidly. The rigid Galactic Council dissolved itself, replaced by the Galactic Commonwealth, where each species could develop according to its own nature while benefiting from shared knowledge and mutual support. Human technology spread freely to any civilization that wanted to learn, but always with the understanding that advancement meant responsibility to help others advance as well. Sage Hyunwoo Kong established the first school of consciousness on the restored world of Harmony Station, where beings from hundreds of species came to learn the techniques that allowed consciousness to influence reality. The classes were taught by enhanced humans working with AI partners, but the goal was always to help each species discover their own unique path to transcendence. "Every species has untapped potential," Hyunwoo told his diverse class of alien students. "Humans aren't special because we're better than you. We're special because we learned to question the limitations that others accepted as absolute truth. Today, you will begin to question those same limitations." The collective Vex Thara served as the Commonwealth's first director of transitional affairs, helping species adapt to the new paradigm where growth and cooperation replaced stagnation and competition. His unique perspective as both an original council member and an enhanced consciousness made him the perfect guide for civilizations learning to think beyond their traditional boundaries. "The hardest part," he explained to a gathering of alien leaders, "is learning to let go of the belief that there isn't enough for everyone. Humanity discovered that consciousness itself is the ultimate resource, and consciousness is infinite. When you learn to expand your awareness, you expand your capabilities. When everyone's capabilities expand, everyone benefits." Supreme Director Boram Lee stood once again on the observation platform where this story had begun, but now she looked out at a galaxy transformed. Human children played on worlds throughout known space, but they weren't conquerors or colonists. They were teachers and healers, working alongside alien friends to build a civilization based on mutual respect and unlimited growth. "We've come so far," she said to her longtime friend and advisor, Minister Jaewon Park, who had remained at her side throughout humanity's ascension.